Hey there folks, welcome to Spectrum Pulse. We talk about music, movies, art and culture, and this is Billboard Breakdown. You know, I just wish the summer would make up its goddamn mind whether I'm interested in having a lull or not. It definitely make my schedule a hell of a lot easier. Because this week, so little happened on the Hot 100. No returning entries, barely any shifts in the top 10, only 5 new songs, and only a couple changes going up and down the charts that I was seriously considering whether or not I just include the Canadian charts to fill time. And you know, it might have been close here. We got returning entries from Drake and 21 Pilots, the latter I like, and a new charting hit from the Cold War Kids that's actually pretty decent. But then I also saw we had a song by Rita Ora featuring Chris Brown. I think I filmed my quota for covering Chris Brown about 6 months ago. So on to our top 10. Frankly, I'm stunned that Cheerleader by Omi held onto number 1 for another week, given, again, it didn't top sales or streaming and peaked in airplay behind our number 2. Again, the only reason it's here is because of YouTube propping it up. But while I said it last week, I think it's all the more true now that it will be unseated by Can't Feel My Face by The Weeknd. Currently at number 2 despite topping streaming sales and an airplay peak. The album is dropping this week. Yes, I'll be covering it. That'll probably reverse the airplay pattern, give it a bit of a boost. Smart money on it going to number 1. Even if YouTube isn't quite there yet, and honestly probably never will be. Behind it, we've got Watch Me by Silento, which holds it in number 3 thanks to sales, gains in streaming, and a ton of YouTube presence. And outside of slightly softer sales, I don't see any signs of this falling off, no matter how much some critics might want to. Now, similar case for Lean On by Major Lazer, DJ Snake, and Mia, which rules YouTube, gained airplay, and held steady on streaming, only being held back by some softer sales. But it could be facing a pretty big challenger at number 5 though, with The Hills by The Weeknd bringing potent sales, gains in streaming and airplay, and even some YouTube. I'll be talking a little bit more about this song in a couple days, but suffice it to say, it's eerie how strong this song is holding on for this time of year. And this takes us to our first top 10 shift. Good For You by Selena Gomez featuring A$AP Rocky climbing up to number 6. Likely off the fact that A$AP Rocky released a video with his verse onto his channel on YouTube for a quick boost to push up the modest sales, airplay, gains, and solid streaming even higher. It was enough to push back Fight Song by Rachel Platten down to number 7, even despite some solid sales there, which is really all that's keeping it afloat thanks to losses in streaming and starting to fall off in airplay pretty hard. What caught me off guard was the newest Fetty Wap song to crack the top 10, and arguably the worst of them. 679 hits number 8 off of sales, airplay gains, and huge streaming, and it was enough to push back Trap Queen by Fetty Wap even further down to number 9, basically holding on thanks to big streaming, whatever meager YouTube it's got left. Finally, we've got an unexpected re-entry. Shut Up and Dance by Walk the Moon jumps up to number 10, basically because it's not falling as fast on airplay than its competition, and it's here based on inertia and little else. Definitely not complaining that it's here, but it is a little bit odd. What isn't all that odd are our losers and dropouts this week, most of which have been long in coming. In the latter case, The Night Is Still Young by Nicki Minaj completes its premature dropout here, along with Commas by Future, You Know You Like It by DJ Snake and Aluna George after respectable runs in their own right. And most of our losers are continuing their downward trajectories. Fun by Pitbull and Chris Brown tumbling prematurely to 96, Rico by Meek Mill and Drake aborted down to 80, and Run to the Core from the Descendants cast considering to fall like all terrible Disney songs down to 60, in my opinion not fast enough. Beyond that, we got our own slew of losers that are on their way out naturally and have been fading pretty gracefully. Tonight Looks Good on You by Jason Aldean dropping to 93, One Hell of an Amen by Brantley Gilbert going to 91, and Sangria by Blake Shelton slipping down to 82. All of these are country hits, but they weren't the only country songs taking losses, because Kiss You in the Morning by Michael Ray failing to 76, and Lovin' You Easy by the Zac Brown Band dropping hard to 55 are signs that country radio is cycling through songs even faster than one would expect to find that next big hit. And that leaves our debut from last week that took a loss, High by the Beach by Lana Del Rey. No surprise this didn't make any impact, it's got no bombast and swell, and even if Lana's intending it as a metaphor about her testy relationship with the press, which really doesn't make a lot of sense as to why this guy would consider himself a bad motherfucker for going after Lana, because that's how most press people think, or why Lana thinks fiery revenge would make things better or is anywhere near a mature response, or fits with her desire to get high. Let's be honest here. Lady Gaga already did this 100 times better with Do What You Want, even if it had R. Kelly on it, and that's saying something. So putting aside songs that will inevitably start so entertaining arguments in the comments section, let's talk about our considerably smaller list of gains. Unsurprisingly, Little Mix's Black Magic rides the wave of controversy about its video to 78, and Love Myself by Hailee Steinfeld takes the trend of self-esteem anthems to push it up to 74, even if the way it presents its message doesn't really work for me, I gotta be honest there. Beyond that, our other 2 gains are Comfortable by K-Camp, a song I forgot existed until making making this list, and it's generally enjoyable. And the other is Drake's concerned trolling on Hotline Bling, which soared up to 34, and I suspect will follow in the path of Hold On We're Going Home, which basically played this formula a lot better back in 2013 with a much better groove, melody, and vocal performance from Drake. This is a sign of what's coming from Drake's view from the 6. I'm not exactly looking forward to that album, just saying. But putting all that aside, and since we have no returning songs this week, let's focus on our 5 new tracks, starting with number 100, Fly Away by 5 Seconds of Summer. You know, guys, you can start sending those royalty checks to Blink-182 or Sum 41 anytime now. Yeah, I'm being serious here. Send them the royalty checks, because with the exception of the glam rock vocals and the inclusion of that brap sound effect, and how your acoustic texture just does not sound good, especially on the pre-chorus, this is a Blink-182 song or a Sum 41 song, and not a particularly interesting one. Part of the problem is the production. Forget being too clean. That bass line has no solid presence in the mix, and that's a problem. As for the lyrics, it's forgettable material about leaving the past behind to travel the world and find paradise and have fun. That doesn't describe what actually happened in the past, so the audience can't really care about it. There's no dramatic arc here. I will say that 5 Seconds of Summer is becoming a better band, but they need to find a way to rise above their inspirations, and they need to find fast. Number 86, The Fix by Nelly featuring Jeremih.
Adrenaline, heart beating out of your chest. And when that pressure's building, I got what you need, come fuck with me. And when you get that feeling, I got sexual healing.
Okay, look, I like Nelly, but I'm shocked his career has lasted this long at this point. A fixture of the 2000s that was stuck collaborating with Florida Georgia Line to get a hit in the 2010s, he decided to team up with DJ Mustard, because of course he did, and Nelly's apparently not aware it's not 2014 anymore, and Jeremih for another hit. And because Jeremih and DJ Mustard love to ruin classic songs, the foundation of the song is an interpolation of Marvin Gaye's Sexual Healing. And yes, before you ask, the sample was cleared by the Gaye family, surprisingly. Now, if you haven't heard the original Sexual Healing, it's a classic. Well, frankly, it's a slinky, sexy as hell R&B ballad that, if I'm being painfully honest with myself, could have potentially worked if it was interpolated by DJ Mustard with the plinking, interweaving melodies and the tight minimalism. I know it's heresy to say it, but I could have imagined this working. Of course, you need to have somebody as soulful as Marvin Gaye fronting it, and a combination of Jeremih and Nelly, they can't pull this off. I'll give them some credit for trying, but not much. And yet, this was never going to be remotely good regardless, because A, it focused on some girl cheating on her boyfriend with these guys. B, Nelly saying that the girl made the bed so wet it's like a slip and slide. Gross. C, it focuses on being explicit rather than sensual. And D, DJ Mustard only got the low end foundation of the melody and completely ignored everything else. Way to totally ruin all the harmonies, dude. Instead, we are stuck with a by the numbers Jeremih sex jam appropriating from the past again, to make up the fact that he's got no charisma or distinct personality and that Nelly hasn't been relevant in years. Next, number 50. Boyz-N-The-Hood by Eazy-E.
Talking that trash, we'll pull your car. Knowing nothing in life but to be legit. Don't quote me, boy, cause I ain't said shit.
Get the fuck out! So, let's do something different. Let's talk about movies for a second. Shocker, I know. Now, in case you don't know, the biggest film for the past few weeks has been the N.W.A. biopic Straight Outta Compton, which has become a commercial smash detailing the rise and fall of the famous gangster rap group. As biopics go, it's easy enough to like, even despite the fact that I'm always kind of skeptical when the men portrayed in the movie are involved in the production and still alive, and are multi-millionaires who can probably clean up some of their own personal legacies, which probably explains why the D. Barnes incident was cut from the script, or why MC Ren and DJ Yella didn't quite get as much screen time, being the less famous ones. Now, to the film's credit, it doesn't shy away from showing the truly hellish state of the late 80s and early 90s gangster rap scene, and the impoverished state of the black community in LA, which really hasn't changed much to this day. And while the film can get a little bit cameo happy, the land pops from the audience, especially when it comes to Snoop Dogg, Tupac, and Aftermath, the acting was solid, and the direction was really great, especially when it came to our leads. Now, I'd expected that given the promotion Dr. Dre threw behind his supposedly final album, Compton, inspired by the film, and a great album to boot, we'd see a couple songs from it on the charts. Instead, for the first time ever, almost 30 years after this song was recorded, we have tracks debuting on the Hot 100 from that early era of gangster rap, 2 of them this week. The first is Boyz-N-The-Hood, a solo track by Eazy-E, written by Ice Cube and released in 1987, only charting now for the first time in 2015, which is basically Eazy-E chilling with other gangsters, shooting a guy who stole from him, doing drugs, beating up his girlfriend and her father, crashing his car into a telephone pole, and trying to bail his friends out of jail. In the last case, with said friend having his girl show up to shoot up the courtroom, and then they both get set up state for life sentences. Now, to the song's credit, it opens up with an intro that's saying the song is basically crazy, stupid shit. And to some extent, that's exactly true. Over a plinking beat with an oily, sizzling groove, and Eazy spinning a pretty basic old school flow. And sure, I'm not gonna deny there's more storytelling on a song like this than most modern gangster rap, which is definitely appreciated, but maybe it's the beat or the way that Eazy-E uses the chorus to try to avoid implicating himself, even though he clearly does in the rest of the song. It's not one of his best. A good snapshot from the old school, but not quite a great snapshot in my books. Still good, not great. Number 41, Hit the Quan by IHeartMemphis.
Hit the Quan. I said get down low and swing your arm. I said get down low and hit the Quan. I'm finna show you how to hit the Quan. Hit the Quan. Hit the Quan. Hit the Quan. I said get down low and swing your arm. I said get down low and hit the Quan.
But then again, when the alternative is this, Eazy-E's crazy debauchery doesn't really sound that bad now, does it? I'm gonna bring back a term I coined a few months ago. It's proving eerily appropriate. Nu-crunk. Mostly because this song screams of its worst traits. A repetitive chorus about a dance that doesn't currently really exist, or this guy's trying to make it a thing. A bass-heavy beat with sparse percussion and an oily synth line, and a frontman who doesn't belong anywhere near a microphone. And so, of course, Pitchfork called it one of the strongest dance records of recent memory, because of course they did. It's a waddling embarrassment of a song with such a pathetic melody and lyrics that are so clumsily delivered that the actual content tends to escape its notice. Because, no, IHeartMemphis, your Quan does not make anyone panic, least of all boyfriends. Your references to older bad dance songs that everyone forgot do not make you witty, and calling anyone CEO Master Splinter, not exactly an insult. Because you're calling my CEO Master Splinter, does that equate me with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Because that's kind of awesome. Oh, and nobody is stealing your lingo. Well, it's because your lingo is cribbed from other rappers, most notably Migos, and nor because your song is about a rap dance that doesn't even belong to you. You didn't even make it up, rich homie Quan did. Yeah, this is embarrassingly bad, and enough evidence of why people hate mainstream rap. And so to placate all these people, we've got our final entry on the chart, number 38, Straight Outta Compton by N.W.A.
Niggas with attitudes. When I'm called off, I got a sawed off. Squeeze the trigger and bodies are hauled off. You too, boy, if you fuck with me. The police are gonna have to come and get me off your ass. That's how I'm going out. For the punk motherfuckers that's showing out.
The title track of their debut album and for their new movie, it's widely hailed as one of the best gangster rap songs of all time. They aren't exactly wrong, because this song kicks ass. Huge amounts of credits have to go to Dr. Dre and DJ Yella for structuring a beat with dusty percussion, choppy scratching, and the ominous melody holding over the subtle, interweaving harmonies. Part blaxploitation introduction, part gritty eruption of personalities. Ice Cube, MC Ren, and Eazy define distinctly violent personalities that really do stand out. Ice Cube is a raw, brutal aggression that, in my opinion, structures the best possible flow. MC Ren's flow is choppier but no less hard-hitting with his content, and Eazy's a little bit more sly yet no less violent and reckless. The song is anthemic for hyper-masculine gangsta violence that paints all three as villains and owns it. And while I wouldn't quite say it's as fuck the police levels of iconic or socially relevant, especially nowadays, it's still a killer old-school gangster rap track that runs roughshod over the majority of mainstream rap these days. And I have to admit, there's a part of me that absolutely loves that this was the biggest debut, the biggest new song of this week. It might have taken 26 years, but N.W.A. are on the charts with some of their best songs, and to me, that's kind of awesome. So yeah, kind of a short week, but some good, really good stuff here. I'm not giving out dishonorable or honorable mentions this week. Only 5 songs, not really any point, which makes best and worst painfully easy. The worst is Hit the Quan by IHeartMemphis by a mile, with Straight Outta Compton delivering the pimp slap to that song that it so richly deserves. You know what, I'm genuinely curious whether or not some of this old school hardcore gangster rap landing on the charts might actually spark a change. But you know what, that might be hoping for too much. Let's see next week what happens, but until then, I'm Mark, you're watching Billboard Breakdown on Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.